Listen carefully. Mental toughness is not something you're born with. It is something you build. The difference between the weak and the unbreakable is simple. The weak look for comfort. The tough look for control. This audiobook is not here to motivate you. It is here to forge you. No excuses, no weakness. Do it tomorrow. You deserve a break. Just this once. And that is how weakness is built. That's the key. Comfort creates weakness. Say it again. Comfort creates weakness. Every time you choose comfort, you delay your evolution. Every time you avoid discomfort, you train yourself to avoid growth. You have a choice. You can choose what is easy, or you can choose what makes you stronger. And most people choose easy. Most people live their entire lives chasing comfort. Comfort in their routines, comfort in their relationships, comfort in their habits, comfort in their excuses. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. They wonder why they feel weak. They wonder why they don't feel confident. Because confidence is not built in comfort. Strength is not built in comfort. Discipline is not built in comfort. Discipline is built in resistance. That's the key. Look at the simplest example. Two people wake up in the morning. The alarm goes off. One person stays in bed. They listen to the softness. They listen to the comfort. They say, "I'm tired. I need more sleep. I'll start later." And later becomes never. The other person gets up, not because they feel amazing, not because they are motivated, but because they are disciplined. They get up regardless of mood. They get up regardless of comfort. They get up because they understand something. Discipline is doing what must be done, even when you don't want to. That's the key. Your mood is not the leader. Your comfort is not the authority. Your feelings are not in control. You are, or you should be. You have a choice every single day. Comfort or growth. Comfort or strength. Comfort or becoming. Because comfort is seductive. It feels harmless. It feels deserved. But comfort is a liar. Comfort tells you rest, when what you need is effort. Comfort tells you relax, when what you need is standards. Comfort tells you you have time, when time is the one thing you never get back. That's the key. Comfort creates weakness. It creates a soft mind, a delayed life, a person who is always preparing but never executing. And the worst part is, comfort feels like safety, but it is not safety. It is stagnation. It is decay. It is slow death of potential. Mentally tough people understand this. They do not worship comfort. They do not chase ease. They chase growth. They chase challenge. They chase discipline, because they know the life you want is on the other side of discomfort. Say it again. The life you want is on the other side of discomfort. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You get stronger by doing hard things on purpose. That's the key. Let's get direct. If you only do what you want to do, you will never become who you need to become. If you only act when you feel like it, you will always be controlled by feelings, and feelings are unstable. Feelings change. Feelings lie. Discipline does not lie. Discipline is truth. Chapter 3. Your feelings are not commands. Your feelings are not commands. Read that again. Your feelings are not commands. They are not orders. They are not authority. They are not the leader of your life. They are signals. And mentally tough people understand the difference. Weak people obey emotion. Strong people observe emotion. That's the key. Most people live like this. They feel tired, so they stop. They feel anxious, so they avoid. They feel unmotivated, so they delay. They feel overwhelmed, so they quit. They treat feelings like instructions. But feelings are not instructions. Feelings are weather. They change. They pass. They lie. You have a choice. You can be ruled by your emotional state, or you can be ruled by your standards. And standards are stronger than moods. That's the key. Let's be direct. You will never feel ready all the time. You will never feel confident all the time. You will never feel motivated all the time. So if your life depends on feelings, your life will collapse every time your feelings shift. That is weakness. That is instability. That is emotional slavery. Mentally tough people refuse that. They feel fear and move anyway. They feel discomfort and act anyway. They feel doubt and show up anyway. Because discipline is not emotional. Discipline is structural. Discipline is decision. Discipline is doing what must be done regardless of internal noise. That's the key. Say it clearly. Emotion is information, not instruction. Emotion tells you what is happening inside you. It does not tell you what to do next. That part is your job. You have a choice. Every moment. Feeling or discipline. Impulse or control. Reaction or response. That's the key. Think about the person who says, "I just don't feel like it today." That sentence has destroyed more lives than failure ever has, because "I don't feel like it" sounds harmless, but it is deadly. It is the language of weakness, because life does not care what you feel like. Success does not care what you feel like. Your future does not care what you feel like. Only action counts. Only execution counts. Only discipline counts. That's the key. Mentally tough people understand something simple. If you only do what you feel like doing, you will never do what is required, because the required things are often uncomfortable. Training is uncomfortable. Studying is uncomfortable. Building is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. And your feelings will always try to protect you from discomfort. Feelings want safety. Discipline wants evolution. You have a choice. Most people choose safety. Mentally tough people choose growth. That's the key. Let's make it real. You wake up. You feel tired. Your feelings say stay in bed. The tough mind says get up. You feel anxious. Your feelings say avoid the hard conversation. The tough mind says face it. You feel insecure. Your feelings say seek validation. The tough mind says stay focused. That is mental toughness. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery over emotion. That's the key. Mentally tough people don't pretend emotions aren't real. They just refuse to be controlled by them. Chapter 4. Weak minds seek sympathy. Weak minds seek sympathy. Strong minds seek strength. That's the difference. Most people don't want solutions. They want comfort. They want someone to say, "It's okay. You're right. That's unfair." And that is exactly why they stay the same. Because sympathy feels good, but it does nothing. Say it clearly. Sympathy will not save you. Sympathy does not build discipline. Sympathy does not build toughness. Sympathy does not build results. It builds dependency. That's the key. Weak minds want to be understood. Mentally tough minds want to improve. Weak minds want an audience for their pain. Mentally tough minds want an exit from it. You have a choice. You can keep collecting sympathy, or you can start collecting strength. Because sympathy is emotional candy. It tastes good. It changes nothing. That's the key. Let's be direct. Life is hard. Pain is real. Struggle is real. But mentally tough people do not build an identity around struggle. They don't perform their suffering. They don't turn pain into personality. They don't live in complaint. Because complaint is weakness repeated. Complaint is surrender disguised as conversation. That's the key. Weak people ask, "Do you see how hard this is?" Strong people ask, "What must be done anyway?" Weak people say, "I've been through so much." Strong people say, "And I'm still standing." That's the difference. You have a choice. Every time you feel pain, you can either turn it into fuel or turn it into a story. And stories don't change outcomes. Discipline does. That's the key. Sympathy is seductive. It makes you feel seen. It makes you feel supported. But here is the danger. Sympathy can become a cage. Because once people comfort you, you start needing comfort. Once people validate your weakness, you start repeating weakness. And repetition becomes identity. That's the key. Mentally tough people do not chase emotional validation. They chase internal control. They don't need people to understand them. They need themselves to respect themselves. You don't need their permission. You don't need their pity. You need your standards. That's the key. Look around. The modern world rewards weakness. It rewards oversharing. It rewards complaining. It rewards public emotion. People build entire lives around being a victim, and the more sympathy they receive, the less responsibility they take. That is weakness. Because mentally tough people understand, no one is coming. No one is saving you with sympathy. No one is rescuing you with comfort. You have to build yourself. You have a choice: sympathy or strength. Validation or discipline, attention or transformation. That's the key. Let's make it real. Two people experience the same hardship. One person says, "Look what happened to me. This is why I can't. This is why I'm stuck." They collect sympathy. They collect excuses. They collect comfort. The other person says, "This happened, and I will adapt, and I will overcome." They collect strength. They collect discipline. They collect control. That's mental toughness. Pain is unavoidable, but weakness is optional. That's the key. Weak minds stay emotionally attached to being understood. They want someone to feel sorry for them. They want someone to agree that life is unfair. But life has never been fair. Chapter 5. Discipline is a daily identity. Discipline is not something you do once. Discipline is not a mood. Discipline is not motivation. Discipline is an identity. That's the key. Most people treat discipline like an event. They try it for a day. They start on Monday. They restart next week. They get inspired, then collapse. Because they think discipline is something they visit. Mentally tough people understand. Discipline is where you live. It is daily. It is constant. It is who you are. Say it clearly. Discipline is a daily identity. You have a choice. You can be the kind of person who occasionally works hard, or you can be the kind of person who does what must be done no matter what. That's the difference. Mental toughness is not built in intensity, it is built in consistency. That's the key. Weak people rely on motivation. Strong people rely on structure. Weak people wait until they feel ready. Strong people act because it is required. Weak people ask, "What do I want today?" Strong people ask, "What does the standard demand today?" That's mental toughness. That's discipline. That's identity. You don't rise to motivation, you fall to your habits. Say it again. You don't rise to motivation, you fall to your habits. That's why discipline must become daily, because life is daily, pressure is daily, responsibility is daily, so your standards must be daily. Not emotional, not conditional. Daily. That's the key. Most people think discipline is punishment. They think it is suffering. They think it is restriction. But mentally tough people see discipline differently. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is self-respect. Discipline is control. Because the undisciplined life is chaos. The undisciplined life is regret. The undisciplined life is constant reaction. Discipline is the opposite. Discipline is response. Discipline is stability. Discipline is power. That's the key. Let's get practical. If you only work when you feel like it, you will never become consistent. If you only show up when it's easy, you will never become strong. If you only push when you're inspired, you will always be fragile. Mental toughness requires something deeper, an identity shift. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and you start saying, "This is who I am." That's the key. Discipline is not a task, it is a standard. It is the way you operate, like breathing, like showing up, like doing what must be done, even when nobody is watching, especially when nobody is watching. That's mental toughness. You have a choice. You can build a life based on feelings or build a life based on standards. Feelings change. Standards remain. That's the key. Mentally tough people do not negotiate with their identity. They do not wake up and ask, "Should I do the work?" They wake up and do the work because it is who they are. They don't debate discipline. They embody it. Say it again. They embody it. Let's look at the difference. The weak person says, "I need motivation." The tough person says, "I need consistency." The weak person says, "I'll start when I'm ready." The tough person says, Chapter 6. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop negotiating with yourself. That's the chapter. That's the truth. That's the key. Most people don't fail because life is too hard. They fail because they argue with themselves. They bargain, they delay, they debate. They wake up and start negotiating. Just 5 more minutes. I'll do it later. I'll start tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes never. Say it clearly. Weakness begins the moment you start bargaining. Mentally tough people do not bargain with standards. They do not negotiate with discipline. They do not debate responsibility. They execute. That's the key. You have a choice every single day. You can either be non-negotiable or you can be emotionally flexible. And emotional flexibility is weakness. Because life will always offer you an excuse. Life will always offer you comfort. Life will always offer you a reason to delay. The mentally tough refuse the offer. They don't negotiate, they decide. That's the key. Most people think the battle is external. It's not. The battle is internal. The battle is that voice. The voice that says, "You deserve a break. You've done enough. Skip today. No one will know." That voice is the enemy. That voice is comfort disguised as logic. That voice is weakness dressed as reason. Mentally tough people shut it down immediately. They don't argue, they act. That's the key. Let's be direct. Negotiation is procrastination in a suit. It sounds intelligent, it sounds reasonable, but it is delay, it is avoidance, it is weakness. Say it again. Negotiation is procrastination in a suit. You don't need a conversation with yourself. You need a command. You need structure. You need non-negotiable rules. Because every time you negotiate, you teach your brain that discipline is optional. And once discipline becomes optional, you are finished. That's the key. Look at the mentally tough. They don't wake up and ask, should I train? They train. They don't ask, should I work? They work. They don't ask, should I stay consistent? They stay consistent. Because the decision was made long ago. Non-negotiable. That's the key. You have a choice. You can live like a negotiator, or you can live like a leader. Leaders do not bargain with standards. Leaders do not debate commitments. Leaders execute, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. That's mental toughness. Say it clearly. Non-negotiable means non-negotiable. Most people sabotage themselves in small ways, not huge collapses. Small negotiations, small compromises, small excuses. I'll skip one workout. I'll start next week. I'll take today off. And those small compromises compound. They become identity. They become weakness. That's the key. The mentally tough understand something. Discipline is built in the moment you want to negotiate. That is the moment. That is the test. When you don't feel like it, when you want to delay, when comfort is calling, that is when toughness is forged. You have a choice. Obey the negotiation or obey the standard. That's the key. Chapter 7. Silence builds power. Silence builds power. Loud people seek attention. Strong people seek results. That's the difference. Mentally tough people move quietly. They don't announce. They don't perform. They don't beg to be seen. They build. That's the key. Most people want credit before they have results. They want applause before they have discipline. They want validation before they have consistency. So they talk, they post, they explain, they announce their goals, and then they collapse. Because noise is often insecurity. Noise is often weakness. Silence is strength. Say it clearly. Silence builds power. You have a choice. You can talk about what you will do, or you can do it. You can seek attention, or you can seek transformation. Because attention does not build you. Discipline builds you. That's the key. Mentally tough people understand. The real work is quiet. The real growth is private. The real strength is built when nobody is watching. Not when people are clapping. Not when people are praising. When nobody cares. That's the key. Weak people need an audience. They need encouragement. They need external fuel. Strong people are internally driven. They don't need to be seen. They need to be consistent. Say it again. They need to be consistent. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is focus. Silence is control. Silence is discipline without performance. Because performance is fragile. Discipline is permanent. That's the key. Look at the truly mentally tough person. They don't broadcast their pain. They don't announce their plans. They don't tell the world what they're about to do. They do it. Quietly. Relentlessly. Without needing approval. You don't need their permission. You don't need their praise. You need your standards. That's the key. Most people talk because they want to feel progress. Talking feels like movement. Announcing feels like action. But it is not. It is comfort. It is dopamine. It is illusion. Real progress is silent. Real progress is boring. Real progress is repetition. Again and again and again. That's mental toughness. Silence builds power. Say it again. Silence builds power. Let's make it practical. The disciplined athlete does not talk. They train. The focused student does not brag. They study. The builder does not announce. They build. Meanwhile, the weak mind is loud. I'm about to change my life. I'm starting tomorrow. I'm going to be great. And then nothing happens. Because the energy went into noise, not execution. That's the key. Stop telling people. Start doing. Stop seeking attention. Start seeking standards. Stop performing growth. Start becoming. You have a choice. Noise or results. Validation or discipline. Attention. Chapter 8. Pressure reveals the real you. Pressure reveals the real you. Not comfort, not ease, not calm days. Pressure. That's the key. Anyone can look disciplined when life is easy. Anyone can feel strong when nothing is demanding. But pressure? Pressure exposes. Pressure reveals. Pressure shows what you are made of. Say it clearly. Pressure exposes the truth. You have a choice. When pressure hits, you can collapse or you can rise. And that choice is mental toughness. Most people think toughness is a personality. It's not. Toughness is behavior under stress. That's the key. Pressure is unavoidable. Life will test you. Responsibilities will pile up. Unexpected problems will appear. People will disappoint you. Fatigue will hit you. And the question is simple. Who are you then? Because your true self is not who you are when it's easy. Your true self is who you are when it's hard. That's the key. Weak people break under pressure. They panic. They react. They complain. They fall apart emotionally. Strong people respond. They stabilize. They execute. They stay disciplined. Say it again. Strong people respond. Pressure does not create weakness. Pressure reveals weakness that was already there. Pressure does not destroy discipline. Pressure reveals whether discipline was real. That's the key. You have a choice. Pressure can become your excuse, or pressure can become your training, because pressure is training. Stress is training. Hard days are training. Mentally tough people understand this. They don't fear pressure. They use it. They say, this is where I grow. This is where I prove it. This is where I become unbreakable. That's mental toughness. That's the key. Most people want life to be easier. Mentally tough people want themselves to be stronger. That's the difference. That's the key. Look at the average person. When pressure hits, they abandon standards. They abandon routines. They abandon discipline. They say, I'm overwhelmed. I can't right now. Things are too stressful. But mentally tough people do the opposite. They tighten their standards. They become more disciplined because they know pressure is not the time to loosen. Pressure is the time to lock in. That's the key. You have a choice. When life gets hard, do you become soft or do you become sharper? Because pressure is a mirror. It reflects your habits. It reflects your mindset. It reflects your identity. Pressure reveals the real you. Say it again. Pressure reveals the real you. Let's make it real. Anyone can train when they feel motivated. Anyone can stay calm when nothing is wrong. But can you train when you're tired? Can you stay calm when you're insulted? Can you execute when you're stressed? That is mental toughness. That is discipline. That is the work. That's the key. Pressure is where weak people look for comfort. Pressure is where strong people look for control. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. You need your structure. You need your discipline. That's the key. Mentally tough people do not ask, how do I escape pressure? They ask, how do I perform under pressure? Because pressure is life. Pressure is responsibility. Pressure is growth. If you cannot handle pressure, you cannot handle success. That's the key. Success is pressure, leader. Chapter 9. No one is coming. Let that hit you. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to rescue your life. No one is coming to do the work for you. That's the key. Most people live in a fantasy. They wait, they hope. They think someone will arrive, a mentor, a partner, a perfect moment, a miracle. But mentally tough people understand reality. Rescue is a lie. You have a choice. You can keep waiting, or you can take ownership, because ownership is power. Ownership is discipline. Ownership is mental toughness. That's the key. No one is coming. Not motivation, not luck, not comfort, not permission. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. You need your action. You need your discipline. That's the key. Weak people wait for external change. Strong people become internal change. Weak people ask, when will life get easier? Strong people ask, how do I get stronger? That's mental toughness. That's the key. Let's be direct. If you are waiting to feel ready, you will wait forever. If you are waiting for confidence, it will never arrive first. Confidence comes after action. If you are waiting for someone to believe in you, you are already losing, because belief is built, not given. That's the key. No one is coming. Life is not a movie. There is no perfect turning point. There is only decision. There is only execution. There is only today. You have a choice: victimhood or ownership, excuses or responsibility, waiting or building. That's the key. Most people waste years thinking someone will help me, someone will notice, someone will understand. But mentally tough people know understanding doesn't change outcomes. Help doesn't replace discipline. Attention doesn't build results. Only action does. That's the key. No one is coming. So stop outsourcing your life. Stop handing your future to circumstances. Stop blaming the past. Stop waiting for permission. You don't need permission. You need your standards. That's the key. Mentally tough people accept this brutal truth. Life is unfair. Life is hard. Life is indifferent. And complaining will not change it. Sympathy will not change it. Explaining will not change it. Only ownership will. Say it clearly. Only ownership will. Ownership means it's on you. Your habits, your mindset, your discipline, your execution. Not your parents, not your friends, not society, not the weather, not your mood. You have a choice. Own it. Chapter 10. Become unbreakable through repetition. You become unbreakable through repetition. Not talent, not luck, not intensity. Repetition. That's the key. Most people want a breakthrough. Mentally tough people want a process. Most people want one big moment. Mentally tough people build through thousands of small moments, again and again and again. Say it clearly. Repetition is what makes you unbreakable. You have a choice. You can keep starting, or you can keep continuing. Because starting is easy. Continuing is mental toughness. That's the key. Weak people are obsessed with motivation. Strong people are obsessed with repetition. Weak people want to feel inspired. Strong people want to be consistent. Weak people want quick change. Strong people want permanent identity. That's mental toughness. That's the key. The unbreakable person is not the loudest. They are not the most emotional. They are not the most dramatic. They are the most consistent. They show up when it's boring. They show up when it's hard. They show up when nobody cares. That is repetition. That is discipline. That is power. Say it again. That is power. Most people quit because they think repetition means nothing is happening. But repetition is everything happening. Repetition is the invisible construction of strength. Repetition is how the mind hardens. Repetition is how weakness is erased. You don't become mentally tough by thinking about it. You become mentally tough by doing the hard thing repeatedly. That's the key. Every time you get up when you want to stay down, that's a rep. Every time you stay disciplined when you want comfort, that's a rep. Every time you control your emotions instead of reacting, that's a rep. Every time you stop negotiating and execute, that's a rep. Mental toughness is built exactly like muscle. Repetition under resistance. Again and again and again. That's the key. Most people fail because they want transformation without repetition. They want results without routine. They want strength without struggle. But life does not work that way. You earn toughness. You earn discipline. You earn control through repetition. Say it clearly. You earn it. You have a choice. Do you want comfort now or strength forever? Do you want ease today or power tomorrow? Because every choice is training you. Every choice is shaping you. Every choice is repetition. That's the key. The mentally tough person understands. Your life is not built by what you do once. Your life is built by what you do daily. Daily habits, daily standards, daily discipline, daily execution. Again and again and again. That is how you become unbreakable. Weak people wait for the perfect day. Strong people create strength on imperfect days. Weak people stop when they feel tired. Strong people continue when they feel tired. Because tired is not a stop sign.